Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, max out your savings. The more you buy, the more you save on beds, bases, and more. Plus, get free home delivery on any smart bed with base. Limited time. Check it out at a Sleep Number store near you or at sleepnumber.com today.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, it's Diversity Focus Today, a weekly discussion bringing awareness to cultural diversity in greater Indianapolis and surrounding areas. Now, here's your host, Ricky Solid Gold Clark.
And welcome once again to another edition of Diversity Focus Today. I am your host, Ricky Solid Gold Clark, along with our co-host this morning, the Dr. Tammy Harris. We call her Dr. T. Our attorney, Mike Murray, is on assignment today. And our other team member, Brian, of course, is doing what he normally does on Wednesday. And that's trying to make us look pretty on some other stuff. And, of course, we got Nate here at the controls, making us all sound good, look pretty and handsome, and all the above. So welcome, 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 welcome. Today's program, we're going to jump around to some different things. Now, Dr. T just arrived back in town from a conference in Portland, Oregon, which I find quite interesting, and she's going to tell us a little bit about that before we jump into some of the stuff that's going on here in the state of Indiana and the city of Indianapolis and the United States of America and all that other stuff. Doc, it's all on you right now.
Well, thank you. As you know, I'm a board-certified art therapist, so we had our annual National Art Therapy Association conference in Portland, Oregon this year.
Explain again what an art therapist does.
So the art therapists pretty much use imagery or art materials to express more thoughts and feelings that can't be verbalized in a sense. So it kind of touches more on that subconscious layers of functioning to be able to get it out in a creative manner and process through that creativity, even through the process of creating or discussing after something's been created, like the final product.
Okay.
So, and it's for all ages. It's not just for kids. It can definitely deal with people dealing with trauma. And as we discussed with my former professor, Shoemaker Bill, Roberta, it can help with adults with grief or trauma or anything like that as well.
Okay. So you guys need to go back and take a look at that particular show, because Dr. T and Roberta go into great depth about this. And so you can find that on YouTube or on our Facebook, Diversity Focus Today, and also on YouTube too. And you really need to review and listen and watch that program, because it's quite interesting. You'll learn some things. Anyway, okay, I digress. Let's go back.
So basically, unfortunately, too, prior to leaving for Portland, I had got sick. Like, I woke up, I was to leave that Friday. That morning I woke up, my throat was like out of it.
You're actually human, Doc.
I am.
Doggone it, we didn't know that.
I am, and so I prayed and zinced up and Theraflu up and teed up and Benadryl up, and I said, well, if I'm not okay by that Thursday, I just wasn't going to go anywhere. But I was going in the right direction.
Okay.
So I only went to the conference for 2 days, so literally when I got off the plane, I was back to back with workshops. Very good content this year. So I learned a lot. And I'm still processing. That's the thing. When you come back from conferences and trying to expand in your knowledge in your field in psychology and people who think like you and work with you and stuff, it's like overwhelming with just what do I do. So
you flew across the country.
Yeah,
you were in Portland, so that was time change and everything.
Yeah, because it was all, and that's the thing. It was kind of that build up. You know, I was hearing about ICE is there and the Portland, so it wasn't. It was in some sense, but in a different part from where I was.
Well, you can't believe what Washington says, because they just exaggerate on everything and they lie. So
it seemed just like another, and that was my first time in Portland, and I really enjoyed looking at the trees. I'm a tree lover too, so
Portland
I'm like, wow, I didn't realize the landscape of trees. So I'm gonna have to go back. It was a short visit after being sick, but the one thing, like I said, it was just that build-up. I was worried about delays, which I had a minor delay, but because I had a layover, it didn't really get me lost, or set back. So despite all the anxiety of the delays, the protests, the government shut down, the guard activities. It was a pretty peaceful weekend.
Okay,
You know, I
good.
was learned a lot, had a lot of socializing, reunions, and things like that.
Okay.
But then, of course, you know, coming off of being sick, going right into action mode,
Yes.
superhuman, as you
Yeah, superhuman. Okay, yeah.
might say. By the time I got back into Indianapolis 1:00 Monday morning, so I pretty much crashed at
Okay.
that point. But it was okay. But
Okay.
I had, like I said, all this new knowledge and things, and I had that time to recover, so I sat. So
Okay.
one time, things I learned to do myself was just to sit down and
Yeah,
just be still.
Okay.
Exactly. God
Well,
said
tell
be
us what you
still.
learned while you were on your trip.
So I learned pretty much a lot of things about my profession and how it's going and how we're becoming now nationally recognized
Okay.
credential-wise. So that's good.
All right.
I also took some additional grief workshops. I took some Beehive community art therapy, how that's been integrated into our field as well.
Now,
by
and
Art
you're throwing these
Hives.
big words. What's a beehive?
Well, it's called Art Hive.
Oh,
so
Art Hive,
it's
okay.
actually a group of art therapists. It's been over almost 30 years now
Mm-hmm.
throughout the United States that set up free art experiences. So they'll set it up at storefronts and community centers or whatever, just to have a creative experience for the people.
Okay.
So-
Now, let's as you
Okay.
explain what's going on, how can this help those that are watching us right now based
Well-
on what you learned this weekend?
What I've learned, I
Yes.
think, came more from a personal reflection of what I've been going through
Oh,
and
yeah, okay.
experiencing,
That's
you know,
right. Okay, I got
and the
you.
knowledge. And the one thing that I kind of came up with, like I said, all these things. My hometown is Chicago, so I have my dad out there and all my relatives out there. So I've been kind of monitoring that whole situation and
Yeah,
friends.
Chicago,
You know,
yeah.
I was pretty much born and raised in that area. And I was thinking, why is this all going on? You know, it just makes no sense. And then I was
Well.
thinking, well, what's common sense?
Okay. Yeah.
What's common sense? So if I were to ask you, Ricky, what is common sense? What would you say common sense is? Just in your own words.
Common sense to me would be what happens each and every day, and decisions that you make are not crazy decisions, just they're common sense decisions.
Common sense, and that's fine. And that's the thing is one's own interpretation of how
Yeah.
and what they experience, and
The
then the
usual.
commonality of
Yeah.
how if somebody else having that same experiences, and if it's a common occurrence.
Okay.
So me being that professor, psychologist, philosopher,
Doctor. Yeah.
just I learned, and that's
Okay.
what I find for me is learning.
Okay.
Because I was starting to feel stuck and kind of overwhelmed with just new knowledge, dealing with seeing the world, personal things going on in the families. I'm like, I'm stuck. And my go-to is to learn and read.
Okay.
And that kind of motivates me. So I kind of just took that simple term of common sense to say, well, what it's about. So I find the basic meaning in the Merriam-Webster common, definition.
Sure.
And they have a new version coming out, the
Okay.
dictionary. But
Okay.
it describes or defines common sense is a sound, prudent judgment based on a simple perception
Okay.
of a situation or facts. It also describes a native intelligence using our own experiences and knowledge to make sensible decisions, as you
Okay.
say, ones that others with similar perspectives might share. So it's
Okay.
commonality. And then I took that even further, and I learned about a philosopher. I stumbled across Thomas Paine. He was
Okay.
from 1737 and he passed away in 1809. He was a political philosopher,
Yes.
revolutionary writer, and thinker who had the pamphlet wrote The Common Sense. I never knew of that. It was 47 pages, and it what ignited the Americans' fight to independence.
Okay.
So Paine's 47 pamphlet from 1776 struck me as to how it used the persuasive language that resonated with everyday people. So it became like a sensation. Like if we were to think about TikTok and posts and things, it was kind of that thing, a simple statement put out there for people to understand and gravitate to.
Okay.
So it influenced public opinion towards revolution.
Okay.
So then as I was reading the pamphlet, I was like, wow, this really parallels with what's happening today, especially with movements like MAGA. You know, we always talked about before how Donald Trump mentioned and says, I don't like intelligent people.
Yeah.
Stupid people. And he's going after these scientists and, college authorities and things like that, right? So I'm thinking, well, why are these people, gathering around MAGA and his ideologies? He keeping it simple. He keeping it simple, sweet, per se. So Paine, his pamphlet just talked about plain truth. He didn't try to debate any side about what was Brennan was wrong or Benton was right. He just kind of put it out there. Here's the facts. This is what's going on. But he did it in simple terms. So his writing, again, created the revolution. And his biggest quote, because I think I don't want to spend too much. I want to hear your big time on this. But his biggest quote, which also struck me, his quote was, "A long habit of not thinking a thing is wrong gives it a superficial appearance of being right." A long habit of not thinking that something is wrong gives it a superficial appearance of being right. So everything it seemed like to me that Trump is doing is normalizing what's wrong, because we're not addressing the wrong. We were just, okay, he did this, he did that. He did this. It's like, well, is it right or is it wrong? Isn't that deep? That's philosophy. You're quiet for a radio host.
You lost me there for a little bit. I'm still at the stop sign.
Yeah,
light hasn't changed yet.
And I had all night to think about it, so
okay. All right.
I understand. So basically, that's the thing is, common sense isn't just logic. It's empathy, accountability, and courage to speak truth and power. Okay. And that's exactly what DFT, Diversity Focus Today, is doing. We're giving everybody a voice in a sense of empowerment. Right. And we don't have to agree, and we can disagree, but we all are saying we share something. What's the common denominator in that? And what do we all want? And he also kind of, in short, went on about saying the difference between the state and government. And he saw the state as the things we want, the society of state is the things we want, and government is the authority. So I'm thinking this must have been the playbook for 2025, because they took natural thing of good and MAGA using it as an empowerment, which is common. Yeah. He surrounds himself by a group of people with like minds. They agree. They minimize the normalcy because they're focusing on their normalcy. Okay. But if we're not fighting against that, not necessarily with guns and bullets and all that, but just words and ideals, nobody would know different.
Now, Thomas Paine, if I can remember, wasn't he part of either the Declaration of Independence team or the Bill of Rights he was part of one of those back there with Washington and George Washington, Ben Franklin, and all of.
Yeah, he was saying they pretty much born in England. He immigrated to American colonies in 1774, just before the Revolution began. Okay. But he also wrote other books beyond common sense. He authored American Crisis, Rights of Man, and The Age of Reason. Okay. So he always kind of was challenging political and religious authorities while championing democracy, equality, and human rights. So I would encourage, just as another way of getting out your own bubble, is to read that. Go back to the beginning and see what voice you have and where it is and how you can, fight against what's right. But again, one's right is based on their own experiences and background. Sure. And then if it's championed with beliefs of people who had that shared idea, that's common sense.
All right. Well, we had a lesson. Today's lesson has been brought to you by Dr. T. Okay. All right. So, and you showed us how that intertwines with what's going on now. With
the things that we think are normal, like putting troops in our states.
Which is not normal.
Not normal. And the only way we would know it's not normal is for the voices to say it's not normal.
It's not normal.
And then if we think about free speech, what are they trying to do? Control media, control
everything.
Speech, so they won't hear the things that's not common to them. See how it all ties?
I got
but
you now.
But he had this little 47-page pamphlet. So that was equivalent to our chats and X social. So it happens. We need flyers. We need signs, as they do in what is it called? The No Kings.
Oh, yeah, no king.
That's
right.
another way of collaborating,
Yeah.
common sense, on a voice to say there's something different other
Yeah.
than me that could be good.
Yeah, which is what they have. Of course, when this program's aired, it would have
It
already
passed,
passed
yeah.
the No Kings weekend forthcoming with the protests all over the United States. So,
I'm actually thinking about going this time,
Mm-hmm.
just for the fact of documenting. Because when I was at the airport, I sketched. I have a new series that's called People and Places.
okay.
So I've drawn random people sitting at the bus stop. I draw people at airports. I just actually saw a real interesting sketch that I'm gonna do. It was a homeless person with cardboard and blankets making shelter
Okay.
on a doorstep.
Oh,
So I
okay.
got that image, and I want to sketch that.
that,
And all
okay.
I saw was their hand.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't know what it was, but that was their shelter.
Their shelter.
So
Okay.
I want to go there and draw the sea, emotion, and sign it. So I'm thinking I might go up there this weekend.
Okay. Well, yeah,
To
see, right
capture
here on
that.
Diversity Focus today, you get everything. You get your history lesson.
Yeah.
You get anything and everything, and it all seems to join in together
Yeah. So
based
Thomas
on what's
Paine.
going on currently right now, and which is, I mean, it's always something, that's for sure. So, okay. So that's how that filters into everything. So those of you that are watching and listening now you know the rest of the story.
And we want to hear your voice on Facebook. Please send in comments. I'll be looking and reading and waiting. Diversity Focus Today with Ricky Clark on our YouTube station. Leave comments, subscribe, like, follow us. Text me. I've been getting some of that in the past. So
Yeah.
wake up. We need to hear the voices.
We need to hear voices, yeah.
And you started the magazine. That was a good voice for diversity even in magazine days, but prior, after pamphlets, So this is
Exactly.
really good what you have, Ricky.
Yeah.
That really made me think of the value of my voice and being here. I can't change the world, but I can have a voice.
You can have a voice.
And we can have a creative voice through art or music or signage or
So utilize that vehicle there through whatever means, social media or whatever you have at your discretion, and it's there. So you need to just kind of do that, and because we just we got the social media, so and a lot of you guys have a tendency of catching me at the grocery store, at church. Oh boy, I get surrounded sometimes at church. You see, we watch the show, and then they'll go back, and I'm thinking, okay, I got to figure out what show they're talking about, which one,
Right.
Well,
we almost at 30.
yeah, we were the one that ran. That was one in June. Oh, yeah, we just saw. We looked at it. Yeah, and you. What about So it would
Leave
be
a
nice.
comment.
Yeah, leave a comment on Facebook or on YouTube. So we know. But continue with the great ideas and keeping me abreast, and so we can keep the team abreast as to what's going on. I got cornered the other day. What was it? Yesterday? Given an update of what was happening here in the state of Indiana over the past 4 or 5 days. I know, Tom Harmon was in town, who is what is it? He's the czar.
50,000.
Yeah, border
All that
czar.
comes to mind to me is
the guy that took
$50,000
$50,000, from the FBI that they refused to prosecute. So he could try to fix some things within the Trump administration. But maybe that'll. I don't know how long that'll last. Well, it's lasting until Donald Trump leaves office, and I don't know whether they can go back and bring that up at that time. I don't know how long I don't know. Anyway, he was here in the state of Indiana, trying to urge the legislators to pass a new law when legislators go back in session in January. Now, Indiana already has a tight law, and we're not a border state. I mean, but he wants, and we have some individuals in high office. Our governor, Governor Mike Braun, who ran on property tax and helping the people, has yet to help the folks of Indiana in anything.
Right.
And his numbers, I saw the poll last night and again this morning. His numbers are way down as well. So, and then our Attorney General, who wants to be something, he's been a Trumper for so long. He's the one that brought in the border czar, Tom Hartman, and is pushing this thing. Hey, I need the legislators to pass this law so my office can go out and do more damage as to what we've already been doing, because we don't like brown people. Yeah. We may not like black people, although he's not going to say this. We don't like anybody, basically.
Well,
if you don't like our philosophy, we don't like you, period.
The court gave him the right to use skin color, right, to pretty much arrest or question, right?
Well, that, and if you don't, and you talked about it earlier, if your philosophy, if your thoughts are not close to his thoughts, then you're an enemy. So half the people, or maybe most of the folks in our building, could be his enemy, because nobody thinks
their
so
common sense.
it doesn't matter whether you're black, white,
right.
Asian, Hispanic, or whatever. If you're not in line with their thoughts, with what they want, then you are an enemy, and he constantly proves that. And so, like I've said before, I know with Christmas time, 120 days away, or however it is, 90 days, I don't expect to get a Christmas card from the White House, nor from the governor's office, nor from the Attorney General's office.
Have you ever, though?
I did get a Christmas card when Barack was the president of the United States.
Okay.
I did. In fact, he was there for 8 years. I got 4.
Nice.
4
well,
Christmas cards.
Go.
I guess I was on the media list, and so I got nice Christmas cards.
There you go.
So I even got one for Biden during his first term.
First year. Oh, wow.
But I haven't got anything from the White House, and I don't expect to, because I'm on the other side of the fence.
Or on the other side of common sense.
I'm on the other side of common sense. That's right.
Because we all having experiences. And
I'm on the other side of common sense.
I'm going to look at it. I'm going to be like, well, what is they knowing and what are they experiencing? And the one thing, those people, is they're not hungry and they're not suffering. So their common sense is definitely different from those who's going paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And having to eat and worry and childcare, and that's what makes their voice louder, is because they don't have to worry about the government shut down. I don't know. Hopefully it'll be up by the time we start back. But at the same time, when we have to worry about being sick, and thankfully my mom is resting now, but it's just going through all of that, just getting her in, and now unfortunately trying to get my brother, covered. And he's a veteran, from his stroke. So they don't have to worry about those problems. So their common sense and their knowledge and their dialogue is going to be different, because they're together, not worried about survival. And that was another thing Paine talked about, is just a sense of survival and how it changes the dialogue. So if we talk about life and death, well, get rid of the people who really can't support my ideology.
And that's not good.
But
sad. This is where we are in 2025, in the fourth quarter of 2025. But I urge folks, and we talk about this constantly. You got to vote.
Register.
You got to register first. Make sure you register.
Right. Vote.
Y'all need to do that right now. If you haven't voted for a while,
I think it's so many days prior, right?
Yeah. But you need to register, and you need to check, because see, the other side they're doing some dirty tricks. You may have voted in the last election, and they may have quietly removed your name as a registered voter. So you need to then check. Even if you think you're registered, make sure you are, and constantly check that, because there's going to be they're doing some dirty things, and so we just have to be aware of those things. So we can make a big difference.
Bring somebody. We talked about that.
Yeah, bringing somebody.
Cosby was here.
Yeah, so we have to do
somebody. That. Children, educate.
This is not. We're basically at war, and if you got to think like them in order to know what to do. Right. And so
follow the same playbook, but from your own perspective. That's what I say, because they got a good playbook.
They do.
They're consistent consistently.
They do.
They stay on point. That's why it's like you said, the normal. That was that quote was all about. You believe it long enough, it becomes normal, even though it's an out-faced lie.
Yeah, so we got we got to do. I hear the moans and groans, and man, we need to do something. Well, the first thing you need to do is make sure you're registered to vote in the midterms that is coming up next year. And then you need to vote your choice. You know, we're not going to tell you how to vote.
Right. Use your
But
own common sense.
if you all have, most of you have been affected by what's going on, and
everybody.
you will be affected. Everybody has. I mean, you know, one of my neighbors, I've got 4 neighbors that have been laid off from their job, with the last one being, I guess, last week, because he's an air traffic controller.
Oh, wow.
And they're not laid off, but, you know, he said, man, I got to make payments, mortgage payments, and this and that.
And they supposed to have sent out a letter to give to creditors, like what?
He said the guys and gals they're marking off sick because this is the only way they can get their attention. Plus, we're marking off sick so we can take another job, a part-time job someplace, because, you know, the utility bills will continue to come and the mortgages will continue to be due, and food will be continue, you know, to eat and support your families, and the folks in Washington and the folks that have money. And, you know, you got to keep in mind, too, Congress is dragging their feet. They get a paycheck, and their staff gets a paycheck. They're not part of the shutdown.
And that's why I say the experience. They're not worried about survival.
Because they're getting their money.
They're getting their money.
They're getting their money. So you need to keep that in mind.
The common sense is going to be different because it hasn't affected their livelihood.
Right. Right.
And that's again goes with the haves and the have-nots. And even with the tariffs, that's all about the haves. Because it's going to come down to, and I talked about this on a previous show, our pockets. That's when you're really going to feel it. And I'm feeling it now. I make my leftovers be lunch and dinner, or dinner and lunch.
Yeah, I'm feeling
or
it
breakfast
now.
And I was like, and then at the same time they shorten the plate size. So half the time I can't even have 2 meals in one. I'm like, come on, this used to
the size, the contents.
I don't want to throw
everything.
no names out there, but you know.
I mean, you know, and so
where's the helpings at? But I can understand the cost of beef, the farmers. It affects everybody.
Well, speaking of farmers, you know, you're going to spend billions of dollars sending to Argentina, and then you're not to help them and help their farming industry, and farmers here are
cattle
suffering.
Passing
And you're not going to help us. You're not going to help the United States farmers here. Come on, y'all. I mean, look, wake up and smell the roses, because we're in dire straits when it comes to everything. And then the other thing that was on the news here recently was car prices, because of the tariffs, are going up. Cars will cost more now than they've ever cost.
You remember some time ago I talked about that as well. Looking for a used car cost as much as a new car.
Yeah.
But I also want to throw in a little bit of good. I am thankful and grateful as a humanitarian that people have home safe from Hamas. You know, the hostages.
Oh yeah. Well,
I am so glad, and we can probably talk
a little
about that, because I can imagine just the trauma, and I can even talk maybe about that, about trauma and how it affects based on being directly affected or not through your jobs and stuff. So that's a very good, ending of all of this. Is that people's lives are saved and families are reunited. So.
Great job. Okay, tell the folks real quickly. We got like 20 seconds on how to get a hold of us.
Facebook, Diversity Focus Today with Ricky Clark. YouTube, Diversity Focus Today, and then All Indiana podcasts on Wish TV 8.
This is Diversity Focus Today with Ricky Solid Gold Clark. Watch Sundays on Wish TV. Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast, and check out other great podcasts on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Online now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.